Sorry, I'm getting over the flu. Okay, it's sort of like, it kind of reminds me of the Prohibition, where they took alcohol away in whenever it was, because for some reason or another. But they brought it back. And I think that they should bring back the legalization of marijuana. In the 17th century, marijuana was actually legal, and it was used in almost every single kind of medicine that there was. But, I mean, it was clearly labeled, so no one ever really investigated it. Associated content did a survey, and the government spends $600 per second fighting the fight against marijuana, and that's $19 billion a year, and that's a lot of money that we don't have, obviously, as everyone knows. And my first major argument is that it was legal back in the 17th century, and then at the beginning of the 19th century, they decided to take it away. And when it was legal, it had to be clearly marked on every single medicine that was in, which was most of them. And if people did abuse medicine, like people have been since the beginning of time, then they weren't abusing marijuana specifically, they were just abusing the medicine. Like, they weren't looking for the hemp plant that was in it. Like, they were just using the medicine in general. And another thing is that if we did legalize marijuana again, it could bring us out of the economic struggle that we're having right now. Because if they brought it back and they taxed it like really heavily, then people who do use it only for recreation wouldn't want to buy it anymore because they wouldn't be able, like, they wouldn't have the money to do so. And if they did tax it, then all of those taxes would go towards our government, and our government could use that money to get out of the debt that we're in. And that's something that we need because our economy is struggling enough as it is right now. And like, one of the biggest concerns is that if we did legalize it again and people were buying it, then they would abuse it. And that's not necessarily true because like, people wouldn't be able to afford it. And if people were abusing it, then like, they would, I mean, obviously, like, they would go to jail and stuff for it. And a lot of people get out of like marijuana crimes nowadays because there's like worse crimes happening and stuff. But if people, like, if it was legalized and they were abusing it, then it would be considered like a crime, almost like murder. Well, maybe not really, but even still, like, it would be easier. And we'd also get people out of jail who don't really deserve to be in there, and then we could put more people in jail as well. And so if we legalize it, then the economy would be a lot better because we'd have more money. It would be in our medicines, and it would be clearly labeled so that way people knew what they were getting into. And it would help the economy mostly. Thanks.
Sounds like a TB warden here. All right, Emily, what you've got is a policy proposition about legalization. It sounds like you have a couple of supporting claims, one about medicine and one about the economy, although later on there's some other issues about maybe fixing the jails or maybe improving the economy by some other means. It was just a little confusing as to what the main justification would be for this particular action. You're looking for a claim of fact. The claims of fact on this would be that legalization would strengthen the economy. There's a claim of fact. Or that legalization of marijuana would not result in increased usage of marijuana. That would be another claim of fact. And I think those are the kinds of issues that you need to focus on when you're dealing with this particular subject. presentation's not particularly well organized. Even in the summary, which I did think tried to organize it a little bit more, you basically repeated one point twice. I didn't hear a source citation for any of the information. The only factual data that I get is a claim that marijuana was legal before, or back in the 1700s, and they had it in all the medicines that were available, but I don't get any source citation on that. So it's treated as a fact, but we don't know on what basis you believe it's true and why we should believe it's true. You know, there are a lot of assertions about what the economic strengths would be. We did have one piece of information about how much we spend on anti-marijuana activities right now, and we had it $600 a second or $19 billion a year. That probably covers all the marijuana spending or anti-drug spending by the government on at least marijuana and maybe other drugs. I don't know how it's separated, but there's no way for us to make that comparison because you don't really tell us where that information comes from. It also seems to suggest that you don't think that that money is being spent in a way that's effective, either at reducing drug use or incarcerating people who have violated drug laws that might be dangerous, for instance. Later on, it sounds like you're suggesting that some people shouldn't be in jail, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how do we distinguish between the ones that should be in jail? If they're smoking marijuana, it's okay, but if they're selling it, it's not okay. Or if they sell marijuana but it's laced with something else, is that not okay? You've gotten into a complex issue here, and you haven't really figured out what the issues are, what the claims are going to be. So I think you need to sharpen it up quite a bit. All right, thank you.